Welcome back to another episode of the post race, where we will be analyzing the evaluation of the Grand Prix. Right? Let's see how every team and every driver did according to just me, right? So Red Bull, I'm gonna give them an 8. Why do I give them an 8? Well, they have the best car, and they should be expected to be doing 1-2s every single Grand Prix. At least Verstappen winning, yes, he did that. But they had an issue with Sergio Perez in FP3, and they were not able to solve it even after the qualifying, right? They left him starting from the pit lane. But a team like Red Bull, already 2 races, 2 different problems in the cars. They should not be having these kind of problems. They're lucky that the other teams are not very close to Red Bull right now, to their car. And these kind of problems can be solved with just some point losses, which is not a lot. Verstappen, I give a 9. I could have given him a 10 because he did the pole position, he dominated, he did everything good. Every single restart he maintained position except for the first start, where George Russell won the position to him, and not only that, Lewis Hamilton also won the position to him. And there was an attitude that is very Max Verstappen-like, which is he pushes everybody off the track and everything is fine, and you will see Christian Horner, good job mate. But then, when he gets pushed off the track, he starts complaining like a crybaby, like Carlos Sainz. Somebody should show Max Verstappen the videos of him pushing Hamilton, for example, off the track, or Charles Leclerc. This is what there is. So that's why I put him at 9. It was not a perfect race, right? Sergio Perez, I give him an 8 because with a Red Bull in a racetrack, which in theory with 4 DRSs it should be easier to overtake, he didn't overtake as fast as one should expect. He started with the hard tire, yes. His strategy got damaged with the safety car and the red flags, yes. But still, with such a superior car, you should be going much faster than anybody else. So he didn't even get close to the podium. So I give him an 8 because he was overtaking and he was trying to make a comeback, but still, I don't know. People voted him as the driver of the day. For me, it was not him. But I gave him an 8 because he came back from pit lane to the points, and yeah. Ferrari, I give them a 4. I give them a 4 because of what I mentioned in another video, I think. What is happening with Ferrari? They were leaders of the championship this last year, right? Not only they are not second, they are the 4th team right now. Mercedes overtook them, Aston Martin is in front of them, and they have a mess with the drivers. Looks like Ferrari is lost in a desert of doubts and performance. They don't know what they are doing. They are unable to react. They are unable to adapt. And this, in a team like them, is unacceptable. They brought Fred Vasseur to the team to try to fix this. And of course you cannot fix it in 3 races, but still, it's unacceptable what is happening with Ferrari. I give a 4 to Leclerc because of what happened in turn 3. It was his mistake. Sorry. Because it's unacceptable. He didn't qualify well, and Leclerc usually is a driver that qualifies very well. He didn't qualify well. I don't know if it was because Carlos Sainz was in the middle of his way. I don't know. But still, that first try, he didn't do it well. And the second try, he didn't do it well either. For a driver that usually is qualifying is his expertise. And then in the race, he made a mistake that led him out of the race. 3 races and only scored point in Jeddah. But yes, Bahrain was not his fault. He was on the podium, but still, it's a horrible season start so far for him. There is a month to Baku. Let's see how things change for him in this 1 month. I think he needs to reset his mind, and especially reset his relationship with Ferrari, because I think it's getting really damaged. And let's see what's going to happen with Leclerc. maybe next season, when his contract finishes, he will start to see things differently. And now we go to Carlos Sainz. I give him a 3 because of his attitude. He was very aggressive, and he complains that it's very undeserved, right? I had complained about Max Verstappen being too aggressive before as well. And I will say the same thing about Verstappen and any driver that thinks he owns the track above everybody else, right? Carlos Sainz started the race, and in the first few corners, like going down to turn 3, in a high speed, where we have seen really serious accidents in the past, with Alonso especially, and Jacques Villeneuve and other drivers, right? Carlos Sainz weaved in a straight line and touched, or however you want to call it, Fernando Alonso, which could have ended in a really bad accident. No investigations, no warnings, no anything. And then, with a Ferrari, which is quite superior to the Alpine, took several laps to overtake Pierre Gasly. And the only way he was able to do it was to throw the car in a bad manner and push Gasly off, right? And then, in the third restart of the red flag, we also saw what happened with Fernando Alonso. He complained that there were cold tires and blah blah blah. But I think if he has a cold mind and looks around, he will realize that this is not the reason or the attitude. Everybody had cold tires, and the only drivers that crashed were Logan Sargent, who is a rookie and can be understood perhaps, and him, somebody with 8 years of experience in F1 already. So what is he talking about? How can you crash into somebody when other drivers were not crashing into it? You saw Pierre Gasly going out, you saw Sergio Perez going out, yes, but not crashing into other drivers, right? Carlos Sainz was so ambitious to try to get at P3 that he crashed into Fernando Alonso. And not the first time in that race. Like, it's not the first thing that happened in that race with Carlos Sainz. So for me, penalty deserved. For him, it was the most unfair of the sport history in the humankind. Horrible attitude. And for me, if I were the FIA, I would punish this as well. You cannot give the example to other drivers that this kind of crying like a baby is gonna be allowed. F1 should be a sport for men. For men with values. I don't care. If you are not happy, you complain inside the doors, not to the TV cameras. So I give him a 3, and I'm really disappointed with Carlos Sainz. Mercedes, I give them a 5. I could have given them more, but still, actually I should have given them more. Actually, perhaps I could have given them a 7. But anyway, because I mean, they did the right thing with George Russell, for example, with the safety car, which they had 2 drivers, so you play with your cards. Verstappen was alone, and Mercedes had 2 drivers, so you put one of them in the box and the other one outside. Reliability issues with Russell is a problem, and then with Hamilton, I think somebody in Mercedes should already start telling Hamilton stop crying on the radio every single lap. You cannot have somebody with 7 titles complaining all the time on the radio. I don't know if these tires are gonna make it to the end, man. Alonso is very quick, man. And then he gets to the end of the race and everything is fine. So, can somebody please tell Hamilton to stop crying? So I give Hamilton an 8 because he got to the podium and he was kind of fighting with Verstappen until he couldn't anymore. And because both him and Russell overtook Verstappen in the first start, and they had a decent race pace. I don't know if Russell was faster than Hamilton, but still both of them are quite there. So that's why perhaps I could give more points to Mercedes, but anyway. And George Russell, he was doing it well until the strategy went wrong, right? Mercedes put him in the pit lane, which is kind of interesting that this is the other way around of how Ferrari would play it. Ferrari has the thing that driver number 1 on track will never go into the pit lane and they will protect that position. Mercedes has the other way around opinion. They will put Russell, who was in P1, into the pit lane and leave Hamilton outside. In theory, and I only say theory, Russell's strategy was good. Because if there was no red flag, he would have been on track and gained a lot of time. He would have needed to recover that time on track, because probably Verstappen and Hamilton were gonna pull off with those medium tires. But yeah, I think Russell and Hamilton did a great race in Australia. Mercedes as well, but I think they have things to improve still, especially driver management and reliability issues. Aston Martin, I give them a 7. Once again, both cars are there. In this race, they were not the second team, but still they pulled off another podium. I give Alonso 6 because I think I was expecting more from him, especially since everybody was saying that this could be the place where perhaps Aston Martin could win finally the Grand Prix, right? I think it will happen, maybe not this season, but they are expecting Monaco to be a good Grand Prix for them. But seeing that Alonso is supposed to be so superior to Lance Stroll, for example, right? And Lance Stroll was not so far from him. And was not able to challenge Hamilton, which in theory should happen, considering that Aston Martin is a better car than the Mercedes. So I give him a 6 because I don't think Alonso did anything special in this Grand Prix. And I give a 5 to Lance Stroll because, yes, he was kind of there, but then you can see in the restarts, he could have done better, especially in the last restart when he went off in turn 3, all the way to the wall, because he didn't manage his cold tires. And again, this cold tire thing for me is not an excuse because other drivers did not go out. So if you go out with cold tires, it's because you don't know how the cold tires work, and this is your fault. So I give him a 5 because still he scored the points, right? But I don't know. He left me a little bit disappointed in those restarts. Alpine, I give them a 5 because yes, they were kind of there finally. However, allowing the drivers to crash like that is not the ideal thing, right? That is number 1. And number 2, having Ocon out in Q2 when both cars should be in Q3. I mean, the 10 spots for the Q3 should be already assigned to the first 5 teams, right? Red Bull, Mercedes, Aston Martin, Ferrari, and Alpine. The rest of the teams are behind these teams. And still, Ocon had a lot of issues overtaking other teams, other drivers during the race. So I give them a 5. I don't know if they are improving the car. Perhaps in Baku or whatever they will improve the car. Yes, but still. Esteban Ocon, I give him a 6 because, again, like I said, he did not recover positions as fast as he should have, same like Sergio Perez, with a car that in theory is superior to other cars on the grid. Especially seeing where Pierre Gasly was. Pierre Gasly was fighting with the Ferraris and the Astons. Ocon was fighting with the Alpha Tauris and stuff. I was expecting more from Ocon. And Pierre Gasly, I give him an 8 because I think he showed the pace of the Alpine for the Grand Prix. He was there fighting with Sainz, with Alonso, with Stroll, Russell, all these drivers. He was there. Helped by the 4 DRS zones, yes, but still, he was there. I think it's the best Grand Prix of Gasly with Alpine so far in these 3 races. So I give him an 8. Let's see McLaren. I think these notes are not correct, but anyway, it should have been an 8 for McLaren. I give an 8 to McLaren because seeing how the season started and seeing where they are right now, it's obvious that they have improved, right? Lando Norris was on the points, Oscar Piastri was on the points. I think something is changing in McLaren. I said in previous videos that they are bringing upgrades to the car, 3 major upgrades. Let's see how those work. I think they are starting to fix the car again, but seeing how the season started, what McLaren did so far is not acceptable. They are going to the front, yes. So I think it should be an 8 for McLaren in this Grand Prix. I put a 2, I don't know, I forgot to change it perhaps. Lando Norris, I give him an 8 because of his performance. He was finally fighting for the points, seeing how disappointing he was in the first 2 Grand Prix, right? Here, finally, he was fighting for the points. And he got the points. With some retirements in front of him, yes, but still, he was there in the fighting for P10 before. Then he was more in front, of course. And Oscar Piastri, I give him a 6. Seeing how he was outperforming Lando Norris in the previous 2 Grand Prix, I was expecting more from Oscar Piastri, especially in his home Grand Prix, a racetrack which he should know already quite well. And he was outperformed by Lando Norris. So I give him a 6, he scored points, but still, I thought he was going to do much better than what he did. Alfa Romeo, I give them a 4 because I was expecting more from this car once again. They were not in point scoring positions until the red flags and people started retiring. Zhou Guanyu was behind the Alpha Tauri of Tsunoda and Magnussen, and he was there. I mean, I don't know if that is the level of the car, but for a car that was in P5 last year, this should be not P5, sorry. Well, at the beginning of the season they were P5, but anyway, they should have been more in the front rather than where they are right now. Still, a little bit of disappointment on the performance of the car. Valtteri Bottas, I gave him a 5 because another Grand Prix he is disappointing. He was outperformed by Zhou Guanyu for this Grand Prix. I don't know if he had problems or not, starting so in the back, but he didn't have the pace. If after the final red flag the positions were to be staying like they were, with so many crashes, both cars were gonna get points. Yes, but still, without that accident, they were nowhere. So I give him a 5. And Zhou Guanyu, I give him a 6 because finally he was kind of there, fighting for trying to get into the points, which he got, right? But I give him a 6. Yeah, I don't think I can give him more because it's hard to tell how the performance of a driver is in those positions where you're in a pack of people and you do not have the, how to say this, outperformance capability to overtake the other ones with ease. Right? With 4 DRS zones and you're stuck in the train, perhaps it's not so easy to overtake. Maybe he had a better pace than people in front of him, but still. So a 6. Haas, I give him a 6. I give him a 6 because their performance is improving, right? At least with Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg was there fighting with Stroll and the Gasly and all these people, Albon, right? Scoring points without any drivers being out. Well, Sergio Perez was in the back, but still. And Leclerc was out in the first corners, but still he was there fighting for the point positions with the Haas. I think this is the level of the Haas, and I don't know why Magnussen is so behind. Magnussen already in the final part of this last season was already behind, but I think what Hülkenberg is showing is the race pace of the Haas right now, and that's why they have a 6. They are there. At least they have a car to try to challenge for the points. Magnussen, I give him a 6 because the weekend perhaps did not start in a best way, but he fought for the points. I think he was in the point positions before he crashed, right? He had a crash. He caused all this trouble that everybody were crashing into each other and whatever. But still, similar to Zhou Guanyu, the car perhaps does not have this capability to outperform other cars around them, but he fought for it. And Hülkenberg, I gave him a 7 because I could have given perhaps an 8, because with the car he has, went into Q3 and he was on the points all the time in the race, challenging other cars that perhaps are faster than his, right? So more or less like that. Alpha Tauri, I give them a 5 because they scored points with Yuki Tsunoda, which I gave him a 7. They are not the best car, but as you can see, there is no the black sheep of the grid, like the Williams and Aston Martin were last year at this point, right? I think they are not the best car, but still fighting for the points with this car, which is, I think AlphaTauri is the team that is kind of disregarded by Red Bull at this point of the history, right? They are trying to sell it. They don't have a lot of budget, and perhaps they don't have the best driver lineup, but still, they scored points with not the best car. I give them a 5. I give them a 5 because I mean I cannot give them more with a car that is not there. Can they challenge points every single race? In theory, no. So scoring points, yes, but as a team, as a whole, it's not something one would want. 7 to Tsunoda because he scored points, and with the car he has, looks like he's taking this leadership of the team that Pierre Gasly had last year, right? Let's see how he evolves, but still, I think he did a good race. And Nick De Vries is being shadowed by Yuki Tsunoda. I was honestly expecting much more than from Nick De Vries, seeing how or where he was coming from, what he did in his career, getting into F1 and being outperformed by Tsunoda. I don't think it speaks very good of him. Let's see how the season evolves for him, because perhaps AlphaTauri might get rid of him sooner than later. And Williams. I give Williams 7 because of Alexander Albon and what they are doing with the car. Perhaps this racetrack is a racetrack that suits them better than Jeddah, for example. These kind of racetracks where there's not a lot of high-speed corners, right? You have straight lines and DRS and all these things, similar to, I don't know, perhaps Belgium, like Spa-Francorchamps, especially Monza, maybe Baku, you will see it, or Canada. I think those kind of racetracks will be good for Williams. Williams, I give them a 7 because of how they improved the car and what they can do with the car. And Alexander Albon, again, he was there. I think it was P6 if I'm mistaken, could be mistaken. But anyway, he was there fighting with the Aston Martins and the Alpine and everything. He was there until the accident. Unfortunate accident, but I was happy to see a Williams improving so much and being there on the fight. I don't know. I think Alexander Albon did a good race until that mistake. And Logan Sargent, I gave him a 3 because what is happening with Alexander Albon? He's the rookie, yes. He needs time to get adapting to the car, yes. But still, having such a big difference with Albon is not a very good thing to have, right? If you have a Hamilton or an Alonso coming into an F1 car, I don't think you will see such a big difference with Albon as Logan Sargent has. That is point number 1. Point number 2, apart from being really behind Albon all the race, the crash in the final restart into, I don't know if it was De Vries or who, but it was not something that you want to see, especially when only one driver from the rest of the grid had a similar accident. So I give him a 3 because he didn't show any performance this weekend, anything. I think in Bahrain he was kind of there, he did a decent race, but Jeddah and here disappeared. And we come to the biggest disappointment of the race, which is the stewards. Where to start? I mean, so many red flags. Why are they doing this? These kind of situations with a red flag can be solved with a safety car. Before, they were solved with safety cars, right? You let all the grid pass by, you clean the track, you have like 2 minutes every time until they arrive again, and you clean it. What did they cause with the red flags? Which is something, I call it the American way, which is pack everything, put them in really bad conditions and see what happens. Let's have fun. What is how does the situation develop? You see Carlos Sainz crushing Fernando Alonso, you see Gasly crushing into Ocon, you see Perez and Gasly going out of the track, Sargent crushing into the AlphaTauri. This is what they wanted. But this is not F1. You cannot do these kind of things into F1 just for the sake of gaining viewers, right? They are already changing the sport a lot. I don't want to see red flags with every single occasion they have. Honestly, you're destroying the whole race. That is not the race. You cannot just stop the race and break it and start a new race whenever the hell you want. The Alexander Albon situation could have been solved with a safety car. The Kevin Magnussen situation could have been solved with a safety car. I don't know. I think they are not being very consistent. Then you had Carlos Sainz penalized, but not Pierre Gasly. How can that be? Or Logan Sargent. Why cannot you not penalize them? What is the reason there? They said that Carlos Sainz didn't leave enough space to Alonso, and that's why he got the penalty, right? He could. It's an accident that could have been avoided. And Pierre Gasly's accident? Just by looking to the mirrors and see that there is a pink car behind you, you can also give them the space enough to avoid the crash, right? Both of them were going to score points. And then you have Logan Sargent crashing into the Alpha Tauri as well. What happened there? Nothing. Max Verstappen apparently, and I am not sure if this is true or not, I didn't see the picture clearly, was ahead of where he should have been placed in the starting grid. No investigation, nothing. I mean, perhaps Michael Masi was not a problem, you know? Having these stewards changing every single race, different judgments, not applying everything equally, is not speaking very well of them. I think the FIA and the stewards' role should be analyzed and evaluated as well. Why? Because there's so many mistakes happening that it cannot be allowed. You can see everybody saying that you cannot, for example, let's analyze this. They penalized Fernando Alonso at the end of the race in Jeddah, where he didn't have enough time to recover, right? And he was saying you have to penalize at the moment, at least 5 laps of gap, where you can already study if something happened to put the penalty, right? And now comes this race, and Carlos Sainz says they need to wait until the end of the race to give me the penalty. It doesn't make any sense, and this cannot be working like that. Things have to be penalized at the moment, not after the race. So Carlos Sainz is wrong in that. They can listen to you after the race, but this is like a referee in football or in rugby, for example. If the referee says this is what's going to happen, and that's it. Maybe you can try to argue with the referee, but still, no chance. This is not how it's working. And for me, the stewards, something has to be fixed there. Something has to be fixed there, and quick, because they are destroying F1. They are destroying so many races. There's many inconsistencies, red flags where they should not have been red flags, decisions where, I mean, I think we all saw it, right? Anyway, I give them a 3. I could have given them less, but I give them a 3 because in the end it doesn't matter. I mean, they did a bad race. Anybody can have mistakes, but if it's a one person, if there are 3 people there arguing, what can we say? Anyway, I will be making other videos as well this week, hopefully. So take it easy. Hope you liked it, and see you next time.